Good day, my family. This is your guy, Seth Garu Baxter with Maker's Bar, creating 1 million leaders today for tomorrow. There's nowhere that fits better than in our guest today. I'm extremely pleased to say, as a hip hop head myself, and one of those old school cats who can appreciate brothers, who we can bring some of that to the table, considering the climate of our music today. He is the former founder and creator of Hip Hop for Change. He's a social activist and a social educator. And with his new company, Hip Hop for the Future, is creating a new creative dialogue as far as what that means is hip hop in consultation with businesses, creating the largest hip hop nonprofit event. He hails from the Bay Area as a community organizer, a consultant who helps bring businesses and incorporate hip hop into their programs, an artist. And I love this line even better, the best father ever. We don't get enough of that praise, so I had to include the best father ever. I'm going to try to say I'm a close tie with that title, but we'll leave that to our brother right there. And ladies and gentlemen, we are extremely pleased with the wealth of knowledge. Not only does he have this organization, but he's done TED Talks. He's worked with Dead Prez, Talib Kweli, one of my favorite, hieroglyphics, the Far Sides, Method Man, and numerous others. He travels the country and speaks. This is a gem that we have with us today. We are looking with excitement to get into this conversation. Please welcome one of the extreme examples of creating 1 million leaders today for tomorrow, Khafre J. Brother, thank you for being with us and welcome.
Right on. Thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak. Yeah.
It is absolutely our pleasure. I tell you, I don't think that it gets enough conversation to say how much a part hip hop has been in educating the culture all around, but in particular in the academic field and with NGOs. So I'm so pleased to be able to get into this and what you've done with that, your origins, the beginning, how you started, your challenges, and where you see it going for the future. So please give us your bio, your origins and where you hail from.
Yeah, I'm from the beautiful streets of Hunters Point, San Francisco, the spot that is definitely not put on the tourist map. In fact, they probably tell you not to go there. It's one of the black bastions of San Francisco, a spot that got real black in the 40s, circa World War II. And a lot of the workers that were working down there on the Naval Hunters Point shipyard on the east side of the city. Surprisingly, we have the best weather in the whole city. But anyway, it's also a neighborhood that's very impoverished. You know what I'm saying? I remember, growing up, going to the bus stop in the morning, catching the bus. A couple minutes later, I'm in a really white neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? It's very segregated. So I grew up seeing a lot of inequity. I grew up, my parents really instilled in me that nothing is promised and anything can be taken away from you at a moment's notice by the man. I've always tried to find my place and one that's authentic. Growing up in the hood, and then that being juxtaposed with the educational spaces that were almost entirely white, business spaces that are like a quarter of the way across the city. It just turns into a whole different place. I never really felt like a lot of places were mine. You know what I'm saying? And I was just trying to make my way through this without getting beat up at gunpoint by the SFPD again. You know what I'm saying? I got into activism. I think once I survived my teenage years, I got into education, teaching, working with kids. And the whole time, I like a lot of hood kids like me, I wanted to be a rapper. So, trying to find my voice. And, admittedly, the West Coast hip hop scene was a little different in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about skills necessarily as much as it was about who has the most swag and the most hustle and the most. Well, now we didn't have too many open mics where you can go cipher and whoever won the battle was the dope person. No, it was just whoever got that money and get in the studio and could, market themselves. So we have a little bit of a different culture out here. So, it took me a little while to get from rapping like I'll say RBL Posse and Messy Marv and E40 and Kick the Sneak to start rapping like Immortal Technique and Most Def and Dead Prez. It took a little while to get
some greats.
Yeah, it took a little while to get back to my cultural power and back to the traditions of the griot and our storytellers, our cultural leaders. So I remember I got a chance to work for Greenpeace. I was their first Black city coordinator. I ran their entire Bay Area street fundraising team because, I had that Hunters Point hustle, you know what I'm saying? And there wasn't too many people from the Point working at Greenpeace in the canvassing, department. It's not really the easiest.
It's different for us.
Low key different, right? When you look like this and you're trying to take somebody's credit card with a little rub, let me see. But I got real good at that, and really, I ran a $500,000 office every year. I was like, oh, this is a lot of money coming through here. And I remember at that same time being real frustrated about just the hip hop scene out here because there's only a couple companies that throw a lot of the parties out here, and almost all of them don't look like us. You know what I'm saying? And at that point in time, I was throwing so many shows, just trying to put myself on. And I had this beautiful idea one night, if I could create a grassroots street team, which is a part of hip hop culture, having the street team.
Absolutely.
But if we could stand out there with a nonprofit status and be like, give me your money, you know what I'm saying? And go to these affluent white neighborhoods and be like, this is what your dollars are doing to our culture. Give me your money, you know what I'm saying? Maybe drop a CD or a mixtape with some local hip hop artists too, and when they donate, then we can slowly build up a beautiful empire. And that was the start of Hip Hop for Change in 2013. I started with a notebook on Hate Street. I raised about 26 grand my first year by myself, and then I got 10 employees the next year, 10 coworkers rather, and we raised like 183 grand, then 363, then 5, and yada yada, went up until the last year I was there. We raised 1.5 million. So it was a beautiful journey, man. During that time, I had so many people ask me if I taught kids, and I said, you know what, I can create my own curriculum. So I created this really interesting modular workshop where we teach an hour of the history. And then we have 4 more hours that are mostly experiential. We'll bring in a B-boy or a B-girl, rapper, or I'd rap myself, a graffiti artist or a DJ. And kids will learn a little bit about, the history of each element, and then they'll get to touch it. Everybody raps in front of the people. We do words and write them that represent our culture. And that was, as a means of getting local hip hop artists employed in school. So through that program, I taught around 32,000 kids before I left that place. It blew up. It blew up.
Well, I noticed you had over 1,000 people employed at one time.
Yeah, not at one time, but throughout the time. So I think it was about 10 years. 10 years. It was a beautiful 10-year run. And grassroots street team jobs, they're very interesting, you know what I'm saying? Normally in the industry, there's a very high turnover rate with grassroots jobs, about 3.5 weeks. Our average is more like 3.5 months, you know what I'm saying? I even said, after 3 months, everybody gets a gold grill. Yeah, I barbecue for my coworkers and everything too. It's a little different over here. But yeah, man, we tried to pay a living wage. When I left, we were paying $20 an hour to go out in really affluent white neighborhoods, 40 hours a week, access to healthcare. We paid half of it, maternal leave if you needed it, you know what I'm saying? And it was a really beautiful office. So I think at max, we probably have around 35 staff at a time, you know what I'm saying? So it's a job that people could come, they could go, they can leave, they can go back to school, and then the next summer they come back and work with us again and get back out there, talking to white folks in affluent white neighborhoods and doing a little wealth redistribution. So not only are we going into these affluent suburbs, we're more segregated than ever, right? So white folks, they talk about, they see people like us on TV. You know what I'm saying? 70% of white people in America don't even have a person of color for a friend. So for a person like me in white supremacy shirt with a gold grill on, standing in Lafayette or Danville or all these little suburbs around the Bay Area, it's just stark. People don't see that often. So we'll flag you down, teach you about hip hop, because most people think that what they see on white TV is congruent with who we are as a people. You know what I'm saying? And they don't really know 70% of that rap music is bought by their college-age white men. who don't really want to hear black women talk about things that'll make them feel bad, like socioeconomic status. They just want to hear about butt cheeks and misogyny. And now they think that's because that's all they see on white TV, which is all they've ever, supported on white TV since birth of a nation. They think that's who we are just because their white kids are investing in it. And that's, I think that's at least a little bit of this divide we got. You know what I'm saying? So if you can employ these young, mostly kids of color, to stand in their power and learn how to stand strong in really white neighborhoods where we never really felt that power, man. We were raising little Ida B. Wells and Fred Hamptons out there. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
And it brings in enough money for us to do a lot of things like throw all ages free hip hop events rooted in environmental justice or women's empowerment or cannabis equity or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So we were putting people on. It was a little empire I built, man.
So tell me something. Who are we today? Who are we as a people today?
I think we are strong as a people. I think our kids have more vocabulary than they've ever had. I think our kids are sick and tired of being sick and tired more than we've been in a while. You know what I'm saying? I definitely won't say ever been, but definitely in a while. But I do think that the country is crumbling. You know what I'm saying? And I question whether or not that is better or worse for us. You know what I'm saying? My dad said until white folks are just as scared as black people, ain't nothing gonna change. And I don't think white folks are scared enough. You know what I'm saying? I talk often in these neighborhoods, and I hear so many white folks say, "Hey, we gotta vote for Biden, or else we'll get Trump and we'll lose our reproductive freedoms." And I'm like, black women ain't never had reproductive freedoms going into there, so it's kind of paternalistic for you to come down on high, and now you want to, make sure that black people are voting some way. Why don't you just leave black people alone and let us do what we do? But I do, when I look at hip hop as a culture that black people invented, right? Now it's ubiquitous. It's the largest human creative expressive form that humanity's ever invented. There's kids rapping in Glasgow, Mumbai, like talking about some complex stuff, you know what I'm saying? And that's what hip hop is for, according to the Zulu Nation. But yeah, man, I don't know about the health of our country, but I do know that our kids and even folks, when they talk about all this quote unquote mumble rap, right? I think that's doing our young kids a disservice, because a lot of these people, they might not like what's going on in the top 40 on MTV, but they haven't listened to a lot of the third and fourth songs on some of these kids' albums where they're talking about suicidal thoughts and anxiety, you know what I'm saying, and how hard it is in their community. So I think oftentimes, as every OG generation is done, we discount our kids, right? They don't want OGs to do the twist. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing, and we really got to stop that, because it's up to the OGs to stop the intergenerational gap. It is not on our young kids to kill the intergenerational gap. That's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So me, I'm 42, right? Apparently, I'm an OG in rap now, and I feel rap. I was supposed to quit rapping like 10 years ago. But no, hip hop is not something for the young people, because suburban white kids only care about young rappers. We care about Killer Mike apparently too, and Kendrick Lamar apparently too. So when we consume our own culture, we consume who we are. I think our kids are great, man. I really do. I think they're dealing with more complex thoughts than ever before. I think that some of the creative outlets, some of the ways these kids are creating music now, they're dealing with some of the most complex timings. You know what I'm saying? They're bringing tones into this. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I think hip hop is stronger than it's ever been. I'm not going to speak for white media and the three companies that own 90% of the means of producer rap that we see on white television. They can keep that. I don't know about that. That's for the white kids, and some of our kids get caught up in it. And I like some ratchet stuff every once in a while too, as long as it has some skill to it. You know what I'm saying? But I think hip hop is all right. I think we have more opportunities to rock. My biggest thing is for the people who do not like the Power 106s and Live 105s and all the iHeart media stations and MTV. It's not enough to just not like to see depictions of pathology and hip hop on white TV. If you're not going to your local hip hop show and buying a show and supporting some young black woman who's trying to rap about her socioeconomic status, then you need to be quiet. You know what I'm saying? I don't need somebody to just shit on black people who are expressing themselves. If you're not supporting the alternative narratives, and I do a radio show every Sunday playing nothing but local Bay Area hip hop. I can talk smack about Camille records out here. I can't, you know what I'm saying, because I'm doing something. But I always say if 1% of 1% of 1% of the OGs that hated the rap on MTV came to my show, I'd be a millionaire. And I'd be putting on so many positive artists that Tyler Perry would have to see this. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like they'd have to see this. So we're not outnumbered, we're just out organized. I'm trying to figure out a way where I can speak to enough people. So hopefully I can get 1% of 1% of 1% to come to my show too. Instead of just yelling.
So I'm curious. So there's a couple of questions I want to follow up there. So our identity as a people now is, it seems that we're disconnected from the Ida B. Wells, Marcus Garvey, the Bob Marleys, Paul Smith, a number of those greats who have brought us to this place today. So where is the communication bridge, you think, through hip hop culture, or who? What is there a segment of our hip hop culture that you see? Is it the OGs saying, young people, let's sit down and have this conversation? Or is it a matter of some of the Tyler Perry's and those cats coming to shows and places in the Bay Area to get exposed to that? What is that communication bridge that we're seem to be just missing somewhat as far as building our power structure even stronger? Because I agree with you, as a people and as a culture, I feel that we have the most powerful voice we've ever had in previous years. But what is that communication bridge where we can really rebuild that power base and build a solid foundation?
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of hard to say. I've raised $8 million in the last 12 years for hip hop culture, and we've done a lot. But man, I went great doing that. You know what I'm saying? I got almost 45,000 connections on LinkedIn. And it's like pulling teeth to get people to rock. I mean, I've had big mega foundations say, we don't do things like hip hop shows around women's empowerment and connecting women to resources in neighborhoods like that, which is not what we do. I'm like, okay, all right, you know what I'm saying? And at the same time, they spend money on DEI workshops because they don't have enough brown people on their email list. I don't know. But I think that the most important thing for us is that we just need to make sure that we're making our own platforms. You know what I'm saying? Our own space.
So that's the key.
That's the key. The problem is that costs money. You know what I'm saying? It always costs money, and it's a resource thing. So I don't know how to get Tyler Perry to care about hip hop. You know what I'm saying? I still have questions about Medea, but you know what I'm saying?
So it's not Medea that can bring us to the table at the barbecue.
No, I don't think so. Now, but I do appreciate Medea raising enough capital to give so many brown people and black people jobs. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, you know what I'm saying? And if anybody's gonna make money off of farce, it should be black folks. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, I ain't gonna knock the brother, but people pay for what they care for. You know what I'm saying? And I don't see people paying for a real good hip hop. I see people screaming about it, being angry about the bad stuff, and I see a lot of corporations wanting to reach out to black and brown people in authentic ways. But when we look at DEI workshops, diversity, equity, inclusion, 82% of that's ran by white women. I just want to throw that out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many hip hop shows they're throwing. You know what I'm saying? But
I don't know about that either.
but I think it would behoove us to use our culture. And so I am still trying to figure this out with almost 45,000 connections on LinkedIn. How do I get people with financial capital to just trust me and give me the money so I can do the work that I know can be done? There's been a few people that have done that in the past for me. I just want to give a shout out to Director Ellis at the Department on the Status of Women. She funded our last Drip Fest, our public health hip hop show in San Francisco and the film.
And please, real quick, explain Drip Fest because I love that acronym.
Shout out to Francesca Gonzalez from Freedom Forward, the anti-trafficking org that runs the Hype Center. We were trying to think of a back to school, event, but kids don't really need backpacks when they don't have mental health and healthcare and clothes. So we created Drip Fest to kind of drop resources in place. Drip.
I dig that. I
Yeah,
dig that.
man. So all the shows I throw are free in all ages. I don't throw nothing unless my 5-year-old daughter and my grandma can come. You know what I'm saying? So it's got to be for the hip hop community. I don't throw rap concerts. I throw hip hop culture shows centered around public health, right? So me and Francesca just kind of created this event where you go, you can have access to toiletries, clothes, makeup. We have barbers and braiders doing free hair out there, as well as Dr. Kim Rhodes with Emoja Health out here, who works to end these health disparities. So Emoja's out there doing blood pressure checks, COVID shots, flu shots, colorectal screenings, cancer information. And that provides a dope platform for us. The last show we had Yo-Yo.
Oh yeah, she and I used to host a show together. She used to host my nightclub Hip Hop Cafe with me back in the day. Yes, a beautiful lady, beautiful lady.
She was out there preaching, man. And we had the goddess MC Rock from the East Coast. We also had Stunner Man 02 from out here. So we had the whole intergeneration spread covered, right? We also had live graffiti artists, DJ Agana doing graffiti with the little homies out there. So kids could see graffiti being done. We have breakdancers, Oakland Originals, and we had DJ Lex and DJ Lady Ryan on the ones and twos cutting it up. So we had hip hop represented. And that free platform also provided a free space for impact organizations to come table. So we had Planned Parenthood last time. We had San Francisco Department of Public Health with their mental health division out there. We had a hip hop dentist flossing for smiles, man. We had KIPP schools and
smiles.
Yeah. We had all these different organizations. And all these organizations are looking for places where Black people are safe and feel safe enough to actually access some care. So my idea, and well, not my idea, but my idea with Francesca was to kind of reimagine public health care. Our next show is supposed to be on reproductive rights, and it's a little bit of a budget crisis with the city right now. So I'm like, yo, who wants to help me make sure some Black and brown women are connected to doulas and have information on the fact that we give C-sections more than anybody else, and their options. Who wants to give these Black women the access to care? Because I know Planned Parenthood spending a whole hell of a lot of money on fighting these fights legislatively, for the upcoming election. I have a platform that can reach a lot of Black women, brown women, a lot of liberals and progressives centered around reproductive rights. So I in a dream of mine, this would be a quarterly event that could be very responsive. I'm looking for long-term research partners and long-term public outreach partners that really want to change the public health ecosystem, because for a Black man trying to get a colorectal screening, it's not really the coolest thing for us to walk in this white
and we don't discuss it. We don't discuss those things in our culture.
But when we do discuss it, when we want to go in there, we got to go to this white hospital with white walls and elevator music with people that don't normally would grab their babies when they pass us anyway. And to do something like that, that's like that leads to our death. You know what I'm saying? So I want to have a safe space, because there's a bunch of Black men getting colorectal information last time in my show. I don't know about anybody else's show. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I do, man. That's Drip Fest. So if anybody who's listening to this wants to help, change the life expectancy of Black folks, holla at me if you got the resources, because it's just about resources.
So that is the connecting point, having access to resources, financial and health, because those are two of the things you advocate for a great deal from your platform. So having financial resources and public health discussions, and tagging along with the health thing, we as a culture and as a people, health is only coming to the forefront now, where I think we're being able, especially Black men, to discuss things like colorectal exams and women's reproductive rights. It seems we're only now having those conversations in a more open forum. So those two together, financial resources and hip hop cultural events where health is discussed, those are two ways we can help build that, but we need the financial backing. That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, 100% so, man. I mean, I think that's just it. That's the impact of. Here's a stat for you. I think it's something like nonprofits, for example. Black-led nonprofits have around 56% less money on hand and about 70 something percent less savings than comparable sized white nonprofits. And it's not because we're less good. It's not because Black people aren't good. You know what I'm saying? It's not because of any racist narrative. It's because we just don't get as much support. People don't think about us as much. We're not as in the decision-making rooms, you know what I'm saying? So And it's just telling that DEI as an industry is so ran by white people. You know what I'm saying? It's why we're
That's
not getting
interesting.
better. Yeah, you know, and I don't know. I talk to music teachers who get upset because their kids don't want to play William Tell's Overture, and I'm like, bring the turntables in and we'll scratch William Tell's Overture and get it popping.
That would be good.
And a tuba
Oh,
costs
yeah.
a tuba costs twice as much as a set of turntables. Twice as much.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So it would behoove us to use the strongest organizational force that humanity's ever created to get our kids, our young ones, and even our OGs to have some more hope, and have some more investment in the power of hip hop. It's just the main driving force of our urban communities, period. You want to make black people feel comfortable, put a beat on. You know what I'm saying? Put a beat on and let them go off. You know what I'm saying? Give us a microphone. Let us go off. And that's why I think the kids will be all right, because I hear the kids rapping so often. And a lot of people, they only hear our kids rapping through white media sources. They don't come to the cipher. I hear our kids rapping about the most complex things in life. So if we can empower them, again, pay our artists, pay our griots, pay our culture bearers, right? And then center, health around that and whatever other social justice topics we can get, we will live longer. I don't know what else to do. If white women can't say Roe versus Wade, I keep saying I don't know what we're gonna do legislatively. So we kind of got to go back to the drawing board, because it's gonna be a little while before we have political efficacy in a way where I would bet my labor on. You know what I'm saying? But what I can do is I can organize a fat hip hop show centered around reproductive rights. There's a lot of doulas in the hood, but they don't know how to throw fat ass hip hop shows. You know what I'm
saying? And so tell me something, as far as presenting information like doulas and public health information, the dissemination of that information, what are some of the things that Hip Hop for the Future is doing to place those resources available? Is that what I'm also understanding, to get them into Planned Parenthood, etc.? Give us a little detail about that.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Francesca Gonzalez at the Hype Center and Freedom Forward, because one of the ways that they fight trafficking is by resourcing these kids that are in these desperate situations. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the things that people fall into is because they don't have other alternatives, right? So if you go down to the Hype Center on 15th and Potrero, and mind you, the Bay is the human trafficking capital of Cali. Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, almost half of trafficking in California happens in the Bay. Almost half, like 45% of it. And these are girls mostly between 12 and 14, right, that are in terrible situations. But yeah, if you have a safe space on 15th and Potrero called the Hype Center, where you can get online, right? You can check your social media. You can email people. You can reach out to your family. You can get clean. You can get clothes, right? You can get resources for jobs, and education about how to get do an interview and whatnot. I mean, these are the things that help people in real life situations. So resourcing kids is close to Francesca's heart, transitional age youth. And that just makes sense for me. You know what I'm saying? That's why we try to provide so many things at Drip Fest, period. But it always comes down to resources. Like right now, there's a budget crisis in San Francisco, so we're all struggling. Like I think they only gave out 19% of the requested funds to the different organizations in San Francisco this past this past funding cycle. So people are struggling.
I'm aware. My son is a social worker down in Oakland, and he works with one of the George Floyd organizations that helps transitional youth 15 to 19, and he focuses on Black male youth. My son does, to see about getting access to live in housing situations, job training sources, and implementing programs that are looking for financial resources. They're working with the mayor now to help provide some of that a little bit more. Now, in speaking about that, I hear we're talking about women and their place in creating some of these safe spaces. Where do you see we as Black men fitting in to help unite this and or create this dialogue? You and I currently, to me, we're building, or ciphering, as we used to call it back east too. We say ciphering or building. So where do we fit into that piece?
Man, I think there's a lot of Black men out here that are rocking, and this is one of the things Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. This is one of the things that I kind of struggle with myself. Hold on. I think I'm getting caught up on one. Yeah, these are one of the things that I struggle with myself because, you know, for example, during this whole George Floyd, event, where a lot of people were funding Black and brown orgs, I heard so many people talk about funding the ACLU and Black Lives Matter and all these big organizations. And no shade to Black Lives Matter at all. Those sisters were doing a pretty good job, with dispersing their funds that they got. But I think that when you see the local landscape and all the organizations that were going belly up left and right, what I'm saying, all the smaller arts organizations, I was screaming out, look, think local, because but there are a lot of organizations out here that are rocking, like homie Tyson Amir out here. He's doing Black Boy Poems, right? We got Mr. Fab, who's doing mental health for Black men right now. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of great work going on in the community. Again, it's about resources to even get these folks known. Like Mr. Fab is a big rapper, but how many people know that he's doing mental health, sessions with men regularly?
That's it.
That's the problem. And Black organizations rarely have enough money to even matriculate their data so they can get more grants, let alone money to advertise and say, hey, this is what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? So I think it always boils down to these resources, and there's two kinds of capitals that we need: just plain old capital and social capital. That's why I'm so thankful to even be on this platform and get a little social
Absolutely.
capital. Social capital is what white supremacy kills second to our lives. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
So as far as we as men of color, part of our thing is getting it out there that because I too know of other brothers who are doing, their feet are in the field, they're doing extra work, but I think it just sometimes gets overlooked. Brothers like yourself that are out there, a number of brothers, I know brother Jamel who's out there, another brother I'm going to interview, C. Marlin, who's doing work. He's also a hip hop educator and ambassador. We're out there, but I just don't see that we get the attention sometimes. And what my goal would be is how do we create that space where it's showing that Black men are in leadership positions in local communities, brothers like yourself, because it's been a few years now. I've been an admirer of your work that you've been doing through LinkedIn and some of the things that you've done, which is why I'm so glad you're here. So for me, part of my role is creating opportunities and spaces like this where we can have these conversations. So how do we get more spotlight on them? Is it just we need to focus on the local communities and brothers that are in the local communities? Or do we now target the Tyler Perrys and say, you know what, we have a grant writer to help these brothers in the San Francisco Bay Area. They're doing stuff. Let's get media attention to them. Is it targeting the big wigs, or is it just we from the grassroots? We just have to keep fighting the good fight.
I mean, by any means necessary, right? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I think that's always been the hardest part for me, is figuring out where to put my efforts and prioritizing, reaching out and outreach. Should I focus on, trying to get to the Steph Currys or the, LeBron Jameses or the Master P's, you know what I'm saying?
So we do need to target them. We need to target them more often.
I think we need to do everything. You know what I'm saying? Because nothing's really worked yet. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen
that's the challenge.
I can't tell you. It took me so long to shake Mark Benioff's hand, and I was disheartened by how uncomfortable he looked when I said my first words to him. I was like, man, I've been waiting to shake your hand forever. I really want to change hip hop in the Bay Area. Can we meet up? And he was like, I know that look, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that didn't lead to anything. I don't expect Mark Benioff to understand, who I am or what I can do or believe in, hip hop the way I believe in it. You know what I'm saying? I did expect him to not be so. I don't know. I can't say I expect him. I don't know the man. But I think things like that don't get me disheartened. Somebody's gonna understand. I'm gonna run into Director Ellis from the Department on the Status of Women in another place, somebody who believes in hip hop and sees me for what I'm doing, because maybe they come from that culture, you know what I'm saying? But I think that's just it. I think when we look at money and the money that goes to try to fix the world, it stays in white circles so long. Like it's almost entirely is going to white people trying to save the world. And I think that therein lies the problem. We have environmental organizations putting pictures of polar bears and orangutans up instead of pictures of Latinos and East Oakland and Fruitvale, or black kids and Samoans in Hunters Point, you know what I'm saying, who are facing irradiated soil, or people in Cancer Alley in Louisiana. They're talking about polar bears, and I love polar bears. Don't get it twisted, but that's the kind of activism you have when you have white people running the money. And I think more importantly, instead of just having pictures of brown people on your wall, you know what I'm saying, we need to give brown people money because we know the solutions. We are the face of that. And I think because we don't have the money, because we're talking about polar bears, I think it's a little easier for people to just not care as much. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, far be it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was going to say is getting money to them. Should this be a part of the platform in this presidential election, you think?
Good luck with this presidential election.
I know. We got some trouble with this next one coming up, right?
I don't know. I kind of think that white America might need to catch the proverbial car on this one. But I don't know what kind of efficacy I have with my vote as a really, really progressive black man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I live in the Bay Area, so even having a protest vote don't mean nothing. If I even wanted to protest, I vote because my ancestors died for it. You know what I'm saying? But I have believed less in the impact of my vote than any time in my entire life now. You know what I'm saying?
It's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Yeah. I'm a strong advocate of voting because our ancestors fought for it. But I also feel part of the thing that gets me in trouble, I often sometimes say, if you can't find anyone in the two parties, start looking elsewhere, but continue to contribute your vote to let your voice be heard. I think of voting somewhat as working in local communities and think local too, that if we start spotlighting some of the other political parties, it might give voice to some of the different ideas that they have. So the voting, I'm with you. I don't know. It's a little different this election. No, actually, it's a lot different. I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm thinking that there's some issues similar to getting financial resources to Black businesses and organizations like yourself. Is that a conversation we can have during this election, or it's too scary? The waters are too uncharted with Biden and with Trump that we can't do it this election. So we have to now operate through our city councilmen and our mayors. Is that more the direction for this election? Focus less on presidents and focus more on the local communities?
I would say that I wouldn't put anything in this election. I didn't see our Democratic base being able to value a candidate like Julian Castro or Cory Booker. You know what I'm saying? We placated the fear of losing the white working class vote, which is why we got Joe Biden. I don't see us being mature enough as a voting, as an electorate to deal with anything. We can barely deal with Nazis, man. You know what I'm saying? We can barely deal with like losing, in vitro fertilization. You know what I'm saying? I know we can't deal with black people right now. Barack Obama barely mentioned being black like 8 times in his whole presidency.
You said something. The
world erupted. The world went crazy. When he said Tamir, he would have had a son that looked like Tamir Rice. 3 times the hate group sparked up. You know what I'm saying?
Saying something.
I don't think we are mature enough as a nation. Over 250 years, I don't think we're mature enough.
Not yet. So this election is not the place. We have to think more locally then. That is our focus area.
I mean, talking about game theory, man. I personally in San Francisco Bay Area can't even think locally, really. You know what I'm saying? Every black VA we gets recalled instantly, right? San Francisco just voted off the 3 board members of color off the school board 2 years ago in one fell swoop, all white.
Why is that?
White supremacy, man. It's the white moderate's the biggest roadblock to equality, right? And so when I was born, we were 13%.
Oh, wait, say that again. Go back to what you just said.
Moderate is the biggest roadblock to equality, according to Martin Luther King in his letter from a Birmingham jail. But yeah, when I was born, black people were about 13% of the population in San Francisco. Now we're 5. But we're also 38.6% of the unhoused. So these liberal, white, not in my backyard voters in San Francisco, liberal San Francisco, not progressive, but liberal San Francisco, they're walking over our bodies in the streets. and now they're criminalizing being homeless. So you know, to each their own, man. But I don't even think, you know, my voting for a black DA that might have some kind of empathy for Black lives, or a DA like Chesa Boudin that would have some empathy. No, they get recalled instantly. White folks aren't going to let that happen. So people call this a progressive city. It is not. It's liberal. You know, they tell you they love you, but they won't do anything for you.
So where do we find hope in that? What is it? To me, I find hope in that in brothers like yourself I find hope in you and brothers like yourself in that area who are doing things. I find hope in listening to your voice and us having this conversation today. Is that the only answer? Because to me, you're one of the bright lights that is going to be able to help make change in those areas. So is it that we just continue to look to brothers like yourself to make a change in those places like the Bay Area and New York? I can think of some place in New York similar as well. And maybe you should be running for office. Maybe you should be running for city council.
Well, first off, I don't want the structure of the white supremacy to dull my sword. I used to want to run for District 10 and be the supervisor in Hunters Point. I almost don't, you know, like supervisors like Carol Fife in Oakland. She makes me kind of want to be a supervisor, but I think I'd be more powerful outside for my people as well. What do we do? I don't know, man. I'm glad I could be a beacon of hope for you, because I can say I definitely don't do this because I have hope.
Oh no! What happened to keep hope alive? What happened to keep hope alive?
The average empire lasts 250 years, homie. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And the one thing that Andrew Jackson said that was wise is that the two-party system is going to kill us. It's going to destroy the nation. You know what I'm saying? So, I see it happening right now. I don't see. We just anointed. We just anointed the president immune and a king. You know what I'm saying? We're burning books now. You know, I don't do this because I'm hopeful that anything's going to go good for the next 30, 40 years legislatively. You know what I'm saying? With the Supreme Court being changed and the federal, and Republicans packing the court with all these Republican judges in 2025 and the heritage, because hate is a great organizer. And I don't see the other side organizing and being as organized as hate, because I don't see liberal white people scared enough to have so much fear, because fear is also a good organizer. I don't know what to do to make white folks scared enough to where they get off the sofa and come out here and help Black and brown people stop dying. The only thing that I think that they might make that happen is when they start dying too. And I don't wish death upon nobody, but I don't see us in a position, I don't see us in a social and economic position that's bad enough for liberal white folks to want to get out in the streets and put their bodies on the machine, as Mario Savio said it. And so I don't see it getting better. I think it's getting worse. I think it's going to get much worse. We lost Roe versus Wade, and all we saw was a sea of white ladies and monocolored vagina hats. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and where are they? They're gone. They're gone now. Now we're losing in vitro fertilization. Now they come. Where the vagina hats at? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not speaking about women of color. I'm talking specifically about white women. What happened? You know what I'm saying? Like, where y'all at? You know what I'm saying? So I am not hopeful, but I am down. You know what I'm saying? I am ready, and I got to put my labor somewhere. So I don't. If I was hopeful, I would be, organizing, voting, and all that other stuff, and trying to make political change and legislation and stuff. No, now I've relegated myself to just trying to make Black and brown people live longer, man. I'm just doing public health shows, and that's it.
See, I find the hope in the work you're doing. Sometimes I go back to an old biblical scripture that talks about the work is much, but the laborers are few. And so it's the laborers that, to me, I feel it's not just the cup being half full. It's also that the people that are filling the cup. And so with brothers like yourself, I think you give us the reason to be hopeful. And I don't know all the answers right now, but I feel that spirituality plays a role in it, passion plays a role in it, and then again, conversations like we're having now. And I do think hip hop, its culture, is a motivator and a change. I can have some questions about a few of the mumble rappers out there.
maybe more than a few. You know,
Yeah, right, right. But I do find, and maybe it's just I find that in our spirits, we as a culture, not just hip hop culture, but we as Black people who created this culture, we have broken the chains and helped part the sea for so many to walk through. That in the darker times, this is where the light we have to push it to shine brighter, and that's what can create it to be better. I I'm with you on how this election. I have some concerns about how this election will be and where on the agenda Black people will fit in. I'm concerned about that, but I find again us coming together today to me was spirituality. That it was saying, you know what, Seth, you met this brother. We're going to have this dialogue. And from this, it's going to spark some other young brothers to feel like they're doing something. They're having this conversation. They might not have all the answers themselves, but you know what? I'm going to get in touch with Khafre. I'm going to get in touch with Seth Garu and see about what I can do to contribute. And to me, that's the progress I'm hopeful about. And I think that the work that you're doing is building that also. So I wish there was more people that were having these conversations on social media platforms, and hopefully you and I will keep that kind of dialogue going. But with this election, I know I have some, I don't know how we could put stuff on the agenda this election because we're just going to be happy to have an election, I think. But but I that's where my hope lies. In going forward, unarmed is on your sweatshirt. Tell me about that.
Yeah, man. I started making shirts that say things that bring up topics that make people uncomfortable. This is one of my more mild ones, admittedly.
It kind of matches with the cap. It matches with the cap.
I got this in bright red if you wanted to. Let me know.
Oh, yeah, I do.
But yeah, man. I do my work in affluent white neighborhoods, and most people grab their babies when they pass me. You know what I'm saying? And I tell them I don't eat babies. I'm full. Thank you.
I don't eat babies.
Yeah, I mean, I am hip hop. I look hip hop, and most white folks who don't have any connection to people of color only see people that look like me through, social media, TV. And that is not FUBU, right? You know what I'm saying? You're not going to create a $7 billion industry off the dollars of Black people. No, it's going to be built off the dollars of white folks. And those white kids, they buy the same things that white people have invested in since media was invented. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why we can only be robbers and, poor, dumb people and maids on TV at one point, right? It's the same thing they're investing in now. It's no different, right? It's just a different type of swag to it. So when, a person with a gold grill and a hoodie, normally they see that through all these, tropes and stereotypes on TV. Of course, they grab their babies when they see the first Black dude with a gold grill on, not knowing that I literally created a pedagogy that touched 32,000 kids, K through 12. Like, they should give me their baby. You know what I'm saying? I'll do better than they probably would. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But,
so unarmed.
Unarmed. I think that, and when I wear this, it scares the hell out of a lot of people anyway. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, he's like political or whatnot. But yeah, although I do carry a knife on me at all times, you know what I'm saying? Mostly as a tool. But yeah, it's just a statement, man. I think people are scared. They are scared when they see somebody like me walking in a space that they don't think is mine to be at, or they've never seen somebody. And for a white person who hasn't even stood next to a Black person in the last month because they live in Lafayette and they only go out the house to go to Trader Joe's and they go back in, they don't see anybody like me. So when I walk around the corner and they're walking around, they go, oh, right? Oh, and I'm like, don't worry, you're safe. It's okay. It's okay. How you doing today? You know what I'm saying? I won't bite you. I won't eat you. It's okay. And I think that's why it's so important, because we're more segregated than ever. But, we're either going to hang together or we're going to hang separate. But if we don't get our stuff together, we're going to hang. We're definitely going to hang. So good luck to us all.
So some of your apparel is breeding these, posting the messages, and you want to draw attention to it that, look, this is hip hop, and we're not all violent criminals. We're also just saying, here's something to get you to think about, is what I'm understanding.
Yeah, I got another shirt that says, "Dear police, I'm a white woman," and man. That's a lot of fun.
Oh, no.
Yeah. If you want to get that, you can go to criticalracethreads.com. Criticalracethreads.com. I got another shirt that says, "Pay me like a mediocre white man." That was requested by a Black woman off LinkedIn. So, and I think I just want people to think. So when I go out, I always wear something like this that says some stuff that that gets people thinking critically. That's it. Because people, my whole life I have people staring at me, just staring at me while I'm walking. I remember I had a girlfriend in the past. She didn't believe me. I was like, people staring at me. She's like, it ain't nobody staring at you, right? She wasn't Black. This is why she said it. And I was like, yo, just walk 15 feet behind me in this Walmart and just watch. And she did it, and she came back. She was like, "Holy smoke!" She was like, "I didn't know." It's like every single person will stare at me while I walk through this Walmart because I don't look like everybody else, and that has consequences. And you have to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? So if people are already gonna stare at me, I at least want to try to inform some of their opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they're gonna be scared of me, I'm gonna make them scared of me for the right reason, right? So I got one shirt that says "F your racist grandma." Because if she's racist, man, I don't know what to say. Forget her, right? But yeah, man, I think it's time. So if you want to wear some clothes that make certain people think critically, go to criticalracethreads.com.
I'm glad you put that. Now, tell me, where does your spirituality play a role? Does it play a role in your organization? Does it play a role in your activism?
No, nor do I think it should. You know what I'm saying? I think that you don't handle business with emotions. You don't make the business decisions emotionally, and I don't think spirituality really has anything to do with business. Business is competition, is trying to eat, right? You know what I'm saying? More importantly, I think if you're trying to build an organization that takes everybody into consideration, I'm not going to do that through a fascist lens. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that through a Judeo-Christian lens or a Rasta lens or Jewish lens. I don't like anybody telling me what they think happens after death. I just think that's kind of stupid. That's just me, man. I think I'm a very spiritual person. I know what feels holy and sacred to me. And usually it's when I'm doing the good. You know what I'm saying? I think Jesus was a badass protester. You know what I'm saying? I also think he was a apocalypticist, and I know that the church doesn't really teach in school the stuff that they say on the pulpit. You know what I'm saying? I also know that there's a lot of people. I'll say like this: power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And somebody's got to break up the bread, right? And when you look at the church, it's just very interesting the power dynamics that come into play. So I was never one for that. And I guess I'd call myself agnostic. You know what I'm saying? But when I do business that uplifts everybody. And I don't think that you can uplift everybody by pushing them towards your own ideas and agendas. That's it. So when I do my business, I try to make it so it's just being the wind underneath people's wings so they can do whatever the hell. Like, I have teachers say, "Hey, do you let kids cuss in class?" I'm like, that's not me. You know what I'm saying? That's your classroom right there. I'm gonna tell them to ask the teacher, because my job is not to tell kids, "Hey, don't rap about violence. Don't be misogynistic." My job is, it's not even hip hop to tell a kid what to rap about. You know what I'm saying? So I tell teachers, like, preemptively, I'm not here to tell kids what to rap about, what not to rap about. I'm here to teach them how to rap about whatever they want to and how to elevate how they feel about themselves. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Now, I will say that after I do an hour lecture on the culture, I don't see too many kids rapping about stupid stuff after that. You know what I'm saying? So I rarely have to even tell kids what to do or what to rap about. I've had very few kids start rapping about some ignorant stuff after my lecture. But it's damn for sure not hip hop to tell kids what to rhyme about. You know what I'm saying? It's damn for sure not hip hop to try to add some overarching agenda to push and indoctrinate people. I mean, fascist, you telling your piece, man. Hip hop is about self-expression. I don't mind, I don't mind Christian rap or Buddhist rap or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or whatever rap you got, do your thing. But when I create a business that's supposed to impact the community, I have to take in everything. I'm not gonna have the 10 commandments posted in my office. All right? You know what I'm saying? So yeah. That's it.
So
That's it.
in talking about business in business, I've heard this often and experienced it myself, and I'm sure you have, but I'm curious, what jewel can you give to someone in business? They say you fail before you succeed.
Oh
How
yeah.
have
Well,
you, so in failing before you succeed, what describe a failure you experienced and how it led to your next success?
I would say one of my biggest failures have been hiring people that weren't really supportive of the culture or weren't altruistic, empathetic people. Be careful of snakes. Be careful of hiring people that are not of your community. And be careful of people who you can't read very well. You know what I'm saying? That's it. If you can't read somebody, do not work with them. Because I
Oh,
had this.
that's good. I haven't heard that yet. That's good. Good,
Oh
good,
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I actually wrote a
If you
song
can't
about it.
read someone really well.
Yeah, don't work with them. But yeah, man, as far as failure, you only fail once when you quit. That's it. There's only one failure. It's when you stop. Everything else is just a lesson. And that's it, man. I've been in my office before in tears, like I don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how I'm gonna fix this. But guess what? I fixed it. You know what I'm saying? Like you do what you gotta do. People ain't gonna stop asking for things, you know what I'm saying? You get it when you can. You know what I'm saying? So I would say this: you only fail once. So when you quit, you know what I'm saying? Like you can even sit something to the side for a little while and it's not a failure. You know what I'm saying? It's recalculating,
Oh, I like
rethinking,
that.
or whatnot. So, yeah. And the best gem that I could give anybody, I started $1 million organization by Googling stuff.
Oh, you know what? How dope is that? That's probably the beautiful gem of that is how simplistic it is and how elaborate it is to go forward. Elaborate a little bit if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, everything's online, right? You know what I'm saying? And I think oftentimes people don't start their businesses because they have this idea, man, I want to start this $1 million organization. Yeah, that sounds daunting, but how do you get $1 million organization? Oh, well, you get $100,000 raised. How do you do that? Oh, well, if I can do my first 50K event, how do I do that? Well, I need about $150 right now so I can incorporate. That's the first step. That $150 incorporated in the first step, that's a lot easier than damn, I need to start this $1 million organization. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about just strategizing, taking it a step at a time, putting things on the calendar. Again, we're not outnumbered, we're just out organized. So the more you can organize your labor, the easier you can get to that win. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by the enormity of what they want to do, instead of breaking it down into little steps and steps and steps to get there. You know what I'm saying? It's very difficult to start $1 million organization. It's very easy to go incorporate. You know what I'm saying? And after you
That's it.
incorporate, it's very easy to go get go get your IRS status. You know what I'm saying? So then it's very easy to get your EIN number. Then it's very easy to get a bank account. Then it's very easy to connect your PayPal and your Patreon and all that. And then it's real easy to go get your website and all that. And then it's real easy to think, okay, shit, now I have a whole business. It's real easy to go get your DUNS number. You know what I'm saying? It's really easy to get a credit line if you got good credit. These are just small steps. And if you hit them, I think starting $1 million organization over 10 years, it was not easy. And knowing what I know now, I could probably do it in a quarter of the time. You know what I'm saying? And I probably wouldn't deal with some of the people I dealt with. But it's all a learning experience. And I think a lot of people, there's so many trepidations about the enormity of their dream that they don't break it down into small digestible bits, and then they don't put it on the calendar. A dream is just a plan that hasn't been written down, and a strategy is a plan that hasn't been put on a calendar. That's it. That's it.
And then if you had to say a book that influenced your thinking this way, if you one book that you say off the top of your head, this helped me influence or create a pathway for me going down this road.
I don't know if a book did it. I don't know if a book.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I don't know if book did it, but I would say The History of White People by Nell Painter really transformed the way I think about white people and what we're dealing with facing white supremacy.
Yeah.
There's that one, History of White People by Nell Painter.
Dig it. And then a historical figure alive or dead, you would have a conversation with. That would be your dream conversation.
Fred Hampton.
Fred. Oh, dig it. Oh, dig it. That's a good one. Dig it, dig it. Oh, dig it. And then top three musical artists on your number, just out of your top 5, top 3 artists you could not live without.
Andre 3000. Andre 3000. Most Def.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Jack Johnson. Jack
Yeah.
Johnson's one of my dope. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna have to say Kendrick now. I'm gonna have to say Kendrick.
Oh, yeah.
After
Me too.
on
Not
Drake.
like us.
Yeah.
Not like
No,
us. Not like us.
I mean, and mind you, that he's a prolific this organizer too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But after he put that smack down on Drake, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I didn't know we was gonna be able to dethrone that colonizer. You know what I'm saying? Like I really didn't know. This is bought 70% by suburban white men. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I don't know what black dollars are gonna do or what hood dollars are gonna do. But this is a testament of the fact that no matter what, we hold the culture, right? You know what I'm saying? And you can't take the culture from us. You can try to commodify it, right? You can get some step and fetches to go there, but a Kendrick verse will always triumph over the entire marketing budget of Universal Entertainment.
You said it.
Yeah.
You said it right there.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
If someone had to say those were your favorite artists, that's who you would say the most prolific to you at this moment.
Yeah.
Definitely Kendrick.
Maybe Black Thought too. Throw Black Thought in there.
Oh, take it. Another. Oh, yeah. You're talking my language. So, how would someone get in contact with you if they want to reach out to you and support? And as you know, we are. My goal as a part of my interviews is to help continue to build a network of people that are looking to build supportive resources and a network with each other. How would someone reach you? How would you like them to contact you if they want to learn more about hip hop for the future? And also to get unarmed wear and apparel, which I'm going to be looking for my hat and shirt.
No, well, it's real easy, man. I think more than me, the movement, hiphopforthefuture.org. Yeah, that's the most important thing. I'm dedicating my life right now to public health and using hip hop as an organizing force for that. So hiphopforthefuture.org. They can go to khafrej.com as well if they want to go check out these shirts. Check out my new music. I actually just came out with my third album, Critical Race Hip Hop. Came out on Juneteenth. So feel free to search for my music. Yeah, feel free.
I told you how dope I thought it was. I told you how dope I thought it was. For real. I got it. I already had thought I had a preconceived idea, and it wasn't that. Serious props for that. Serious props, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Right on, man. Right on.
I got to tell you. Oh, yes. So I got to tell you, it was a pleasure and a joy having you here today because I know how busy you are. I thank you so much for sharing and giving us some of your wisdom. Thank you for sharing the information that people get in contact with. And if I'm going to say one other thing, thank you, even though unbeknownst to you, how powerful you are at making the change and creating more hope in dialogue and hope for other brothers and sisters that might see this. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart sincerely for being here and sharing that. Truly, and I'm hoping that you can stay encouraged and know that other people out here supporting you, and we at the Makers Bar audience really thank you for taking out the time to do so.
Right on, man. I appreciate the platform. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the people, man. Thank you for extending that to me.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, pardon me, thank you so much for having this conversation. It's been one of the most intriguing conversations I've had, and I've had a couple of them many times, but I thank you for taking the time out to watch this interview. Please check out this brother's content, not only his content, but his organizations. We'll continue to push forward and bring together support. And the expression that I've been learning lately is show up, be present, exist, and demonstrate the power that you have in your person. Peace and love, good family. We are looking forward to all the good things we're going to do together. Continue to build. Talk to you soon, brother.
All right, peace. Hey, brother Seth.
Oh